Okay, welcome everybody. We're going to get going. Good to see everybody here. Just want to remind everybody who maybe wasn't here by the Monday night shir that we have class on Monday and the class on Wednesday today. And then I'm away out in the wilderness the coming week. And then after that, we're back for a month until Rosh Hashanah in Oman, where we're going to have a week off there. So looking forward to learning tonight and then getting back in 2 weeks from now again. So we are holding here now on Ois Dalet, the point number 4 in Torah Nun Vav 56 in the Likutei Moharan in the BRI book, volume 6. We're on page 318. And the place we are now is that we began. We're going to do a quick review. Just for those, we have new people around, both online and in person. In the shiurim, we don't ask too many questions during the shiur just because it's recorded and online. But afterwards, everyone is invited to. We have an open floor for people to comment or ask questions or anything that we want. Okay, quick review. So Torah starts off. Rabbi Nachman tells us that every person has an aspect of malchus to them. Malchus means a certain type of power, a certain type of influence that they have in the world. And this exists in a revealed and also in a hidden way. We said, we're going very fast through the review because we've been through it many times already. And then we learned that in order to use this malchus properly, this power of malchus and influence, we have to make sure that we only use this power of malchus not for our own gratification and not for our own needs. Rather, we use our influence, our abilities, and our powers only for the malchus of Hashem, to reveal the Ribono Shel Olam in the world. In order to do this, we have to draw in das into our malchus. We have to draw in wisdom. We have to draw in what's called Richas Yamim. We have to draw this in from the power of learning Torah out loud with our mouths. This is something that draws this power into our malchus. And by doing this, we are able to in the dark places where it appears to be that Hashem is concealed, we're able to reveal Hashem in the world in these places. And we also saw that we have to be a tzofeh. A tzofeh means someone who's a watchman, a lookout. That means we have to look out for the malchus of Hashem. We have to look out for each other. We have to look out in the world and make sure that we feel that means that we have a responsibility and accountability to make sure that we are using our abilities and our influence in the world in the right way. In other words, once we know that we have power, all of us have abilities and powers in the world, we have to then realize we can't just turn our back. People need us, right? People need us to do what we can do in the world, to reveal the darkness in the world. And I don't think anyone sitting here right now does not realize that there's tremendous darkness in the world. And we all have some ability to bring light into the darkness, to reveal the hidden. And so we pointed out last time how all of this fit into Megillas Esther, and especially into a certain pasuk. We won't go into the whole thing, but what we saw over there is Mordechai is the prime example of someone who selflessly uses all of his abilities for the purpose of the Malchus, for the purpose of Hashem. And he did this in Megillas Esther, as we saw before. And his polar opposite is Haman, the power of Haman and Amalek, and of course, the hiddenness is Megillas Esther. It means Hester, Hastara. It refers to what's hidden. The whole Megillah, if you remember, everything is hidden. Hashem's name is not mentioned in the Megillah. Everything happens behind the scenes. It's written in a funny way that's like a fable, like the depth is really hidden. And it's called Megillat Esther, which is from the shorish of these words, is to be megale, to reveal the hastara, the hidden, to reveal the hidden. This is what it means. And this is what Mordechai did. This is what Esther did. And this is where we find ourselves in Megillas Esther. And the last thing we said is that when a person finds themselves living in a state of concealment, where they feel that it could be their entire existence, or it could be in one aspect of a person's life, they find themselves in a state of concealment. They feel like Hashem is not there. They feel like things are dark and confusing, and I can't see purpose, I can't see meaning, whatever it is. It could be my whole life, it could be one small aspect. But in such a place where there's a concealment and there's a hidden aspect over there, when we come out from that place, when we reveal that really Hashem was always there, and we reveal the hidden within that place, from there comes the power of Torah. Torah is created from that place. Something comes out from that place. There's a metaphysical understanding to that, but another aspect of it, just that I think we could all really probably connect to, is I'm sure there's no one here who has not been in a place of darkness at some point and struggling, right, in a hard place spiritually. And very often when we finally make it out of such a place and we finally reveal some light in such a place and we get out, we come out of that place with a much, much deeper understanding, a much, much deeper connection, and we see things that we never would have seen before. In other words, some kind of deeper level. When we say das in this Torah, das, we mean an awareness of Hashem, an awareness of the deeper aspects of existence. When I come out from that place, I have a whole new aspect of awareness, spiritual awareness to myself. This is what comes out. That's what we're holding. We're starting now, page 318, Ois Dalet, Likutei Moharan, Torah Nun Vav. Ready? Here we go. So it says Rabbi Nachman, V'da, Torah ha'melubash toicha hastara shebeseich hastara. One more brief hakdama. We said like this: in the hastara, the hidden places, what happens? We get into hastara, we get into places of concealment, into places of darkness, because of what the Gemara says, avar v'shana na'aseh keheter. A person does an aveira, does things they shouldn't do, gets involved in behavior they shouldn't do. It brings concealment. It brings darkness onto us, right? And what the direct translation of this piece of the Gemara is, Avar Vashana Na'aseh keheter, means if you do something you shouldn't do, and you repeat it, and so on and so forth, it becomes like heter. It becomes like it's allowed. So what's the simple, regular understanding of it is? Right? It's like the first time, let's say you have a person who kept kosher for a long time, their whole life maybe or whatever, and they had enough already, and they start to go off the path a little bit. So how difficult is it the first time that person eats something not kosher?
Very difficult.
Right? Like they can't do it. It takes all they feel terrible, whatever, but we do it another time, all of a sudden, it's very easy. Now I'm gone. Now that's just what I can do. That's the simple understanding of avar v'shana na'aseh keheter. Okay? On a deeper level, we said like this. We know that all of existence, all of creation, is built, structured on the letters, the mystical letters of the Aleph base. If we could see behind all of existence, we'd see a code of Aleph base that makes up everything in existence, right? Have you heard this before? Like, if anybody saw The Matrix, you know, the code written behind when he finally sees through the Matrix and he sees the green code of the whole, right? The Matrix, right? So there's a code behind everything. The Aleph base is behind everything. And really, in a deeper sense, the Torah is behind everything. The letters of the Torah are behind everything. So when we're going in line with Ratzon Hashem, with what the Rebbeinu Hashem wants for us in the world, so the Torah is written all around us the way it's supposed to be. But when we break it, when we go and do things that are against Ratzon Hashem, and we start doing the wrong thing, what happens to the letters of the Torah that are coding us into existence is they go out of order. They get mixed up and they become wrong. And this pasuk that used to say, whatever it is, Lo tzavashel gedi b'chalevimo, don't cook a kid in its mother's milk. Now you start eating cheeseburgers, you change all those letters around and they become perverted. And they make now the wrong pasuk where it's allowed to do that, where you should do that. That, on a deeper level, is what that Gemara means when it says, Amar Vashana Nasa Lo Keheter. You have changed the Torah that used to say don't do that, and now it's become heter. Now you wrote a perverted version of the Torah in your spiritual existence that says it's okay to eat a cheeseburger. Right? Was that a laugh over there, Rabbi Yaakov? No? Okay. It's okay. Right? So this is what happened. So Amar Vashana Nasa Lo Keheter. So what happens when we make a tikkun, when we make a reparation, when we do tshuva, when we reveal now the concealment, we take those letters that were written improperly and we put them back in the place they're supposed to be. And now a new Torah is written out of that place where I come from. So can you imagine when we go through such a dark time, and then we come out on the other end, in one deep spiritual way, we're contributing a newly written Torah into existence, a newly written deep understanding of Torah into existence. That's a very high, deep Kabbalah type of understanding of what's going on here, that marries together and goes along hand in hand with at the same time, that when we come out of such a dark place, we have a new appreciation, a new spiritual understanding higher than we had before. Everybody with me? It's a little bit deep, but we're getting there. So Rabbi Nachman says now, you should know that the Torah that is concealed within the Hastara Shebesoich Hastara, we spoke earlier that there's a concealment and there's a concealment within a concealment. The concealment within a concealment, by the way, there's a very famous song, Afilu B'Hastara Shebetoch Hastara, beautiful song by Yosef Karduner. It's about this particular piece in Rabbi Nachman. The Hastara Shebesoich Hastara means that in one Hastara, Hashem is concealed from me. I feel like I'm far from Hashem. I'm distant from Hashem in some way. The next level is when even that fact is hidden from me. I don't even realize that I'm distant from Hashem. It's a frightening, terrible place to be, for whatever reason. And we talked about this a lot already, we won't go too deep into it now. But that place which is so dark, and so deep, and so hard to exist in, says Rabbi Nachman, the Torah that is enclosed in that place, that's waiting to be revealed, is Torah Gavoya Daika. It's specifically a very, very high type of Torah that comes from such a place. Very, very high. Why? Hainu Sisrei Torah, which means the secrets of Torah. That means like the very deep Kabbalistic, very deep understandings. Because the fact that it has to be hidden in these deep, dark places, meaning it has to be hidden in the existence of a person who's done a lot of averas, a lot of things they shouldn't have done. Until it becomes hidden from them in a concealment, within another concealment. It's very hidden, the Torah in this place. So therefore, Hashem thought, whatever this means, thoughts not to hide in that place simple understandings of Torah. In order so that the negative forces could not pull from them. And then there would be a terrible blemish in the world. What does that mean? Let's explain what this means. So, we know, we've talked about many times, that there are positive spiritual forces in the world, and then there are what we call the klipas. Klipas are there's a lots of different aspects to them, but they cover up holiness. They have they're negative spiritual entities, and Hashem created the world so that there's a balance, right, between good and evil, in order so that we have the ability to have free will, right? It's not so easy to be good. It's not so easy to be bad, the way things are created. How is it that we can find sometimes that the evil nature of the world, or our pull towards things that we don't want to be pulled towards, is so strong? Where does it come from? How does it get? So the negative forces, they are able to get more powerful. How do they do that? When we do Averas, the spiritual energy that should be coming from us and being imbued into the world is usurped by the negative forces, and they get stronger, right? And Kabbalistically, there's a lot of very beautiful, deep understandings. But one of the understandings is, let's get Kabbalistic for a second, everybody. So everybody knows here, mostly probably, I don't know about the new people, but probably, that we have a concept of the Esser spheres, the 10 spheres of emanation. And those 10 spheres start from a very high place, the sphere of Kesser, and goes down all the way to the place of Malchus. And basically, I know this is very basic, but basically the 10 spheres are the way that we go from the absolute infinite powerful light of Hashem down level by level, filter by filter, making it less and less and less until it's in a place where we're in this physical, dark, confusing world that we find ourselves in now, right? From the absolute unified oneness of the light of Hashem to this place where everything is separate, confusing, dark, difficult. So it's the 10 spheres. Really, there's universes that are all made up of 10 spheres, and there's different aspects. But in general, it's a concept of 10 spheres, right? And so, in Kabbalah, the negative spiritual forces, let's call it the klipas, these demonic type of existences, right? So they're able to draw their energy from the lower levels of this emanation. So they can take from Malchus is their like feeding ground for the most part. Then the next level up, which is the spheres of Netzach, Hod, and Yesod, they have also a little bit of a ability to get into. A little higher up, Chesed, Gevurah, and Tiferes, not so much, rarely. Sometimes a little bit, maybe. But when you get higher up into the Partsufim of Abba and Ima, which is, Chochmah and Bina, they have no ability to get to reach that. And higher, the higher you go in Kesser, which is the highest, the most exalted place of oneness, right? Only the light of Hashem there. They can't exist there. There's nothing for them. It's only the absolute oneness of Hashem. A lot of these don't make sense unless you really think about them a lot. Just go with me. Right? Okay. You ever with me? So they can get from the bottom, but they can't get from higher levels. So what Rabbi Nachman is saying over here is that when a person is in this place of Hastara Shabasei Hastara, a person is in a very low spiritual place where there's a lot of concealment, a lot of struggle spiritually. So what does that mean? Hastara, concealment, means that these negative forces are there. That's what's causing concealment. That's what causes the covering. Klipa also means shell, blockage, right? It's blocking the spiritual connection to Hashem. So the negative spiritual forces are all over the place over here. So Hashem can't put the lower level light into that place, because otherwise they would eat it up and they would get stronger and stronger and stronger. It would be feeding evil in the world. So what does Hashem do? In that place, He only allows the highest level of light to coexist in that place, so that they don't have the ability, the negative forces don't have the ability to grab a hold of it. So that means, it's so awesome, by the way, this is like a real, it gets to the bottom of many aspects of Breslov Torah and Hasidus in general. That means in the darkest places is where, if you can find it, if you can get through it, you can find the deepest, most amazing illumination in the darkest places. Just go back in your mind for a second and think about all of Jewish history. It's all like this, right? When did we become Am Yisrael and then have Kabbalas Torah? Right? It was only after we had Galus in Mitzrayim, in Egypt, where we were on the lowest of the lowest levels. We were on the 49th level of Tumah. It was the darkest place. It looked like there was no possible way out. Can you imagine a deeper, what's it called, hastara? Deeper concealment? Have you ever been in a place where you feel like, I don't know how I'm going to get out of this. I don't know how I could ever get out. Right? That's a dark, deep place. And yet, we came out of Mitzrayim with specifically through the connection to Moshe Rabbeinu, and with the miracles of the Esher Makos, and of course the last one, which we're going to see soon in this very Torah, which was Hashem himself only, right? The Makos Bechoros, the plague of the firstborn, was Hashem himself. Remember the Haggadah? Ani v'lo malach, ani v'lo saraf, right? We always remember the Haggadah. Right? So from the lowest low, that's when we went to the highest place that we ever existed. Highest place of revelation of Kabbalas Torah. And it keeps going like this through all of Tanakh, all of Jewish history. We always have this, that we go to a very low place, and from there comes some amazing light that never existed before. Very, very high level. And this, of course, is very, very true in a person's individual existence also. Right? When we find ourselves in such a low place, we have to get out still. But when we persevere, and when we work through it, and we connect to the right people, and we make the right choices, and we do the best we can, and we come out from there, we see something amazing. And very often, I'll tell you something. This is crazy, beautiful, beautiful thing. I have a friend I've spoken about here a few times, without his name, of course. And in the past year, it's been in a very dark place, sometimes suicidal, and very, very big struggle in and out of hospitals and rehab and this and that, and in a very bad place. And I was always, looking so forward to hearing good news from him. And finally, he got onto the right medication, and he's in a good place. He's in a good place. For a little while now, things are improving, and he's happy, and it's going good, Baruch Hashem. And he said to me last night, I'm beginning to see some of the amazing things that I learned and growth that I've had from what I just went through. Right? So I said to him, like, you know what? This is like the lottery that everybody in such a situation wants to win. If you have a person who's struggling so bad, it's so difficult, and they don't know why it's happening, they don't know what they're going through, and you would tell them, I could give you money, or I could tell you exactly why this is happening, and exactly how to get out, and the amazing things you're going to learn from here, right? They're always going to take that. It's life-saving. It's like a lifeboat. There's a better analogy that I'm not thinking of, but it's amazing, right? And every so often in our lives, we get this, where you get to look back and be like, wow, if I didn't go through that, I would not have learned this. I would not have gained this. I would not have made this connection. I wouldn't have had this amazing thing, right? So this is all part of what we're saying over here. From that dark place, something amazing can come out. And on a spiritual Torah level, it's like crazy vibes come into the world. Let's say it like that. So he says, "Alkein who master melbisham Torah gavur daiko." That's why he puts into that place specifically this very, very high Torah, Sisrei Torah, the secrets of Torah. She Torahs Hashem ba'atzma, which is the Torah of Hashem himself. This is referring to an aspect of Torah that's above everything we could imagine. In order so that the klipas could not, linoik is the same word for a baby to feed, so that the klipas cannot suckle energy from this place so much. V'chinas, just like the pasuk says, speaking of the exodus from Egypt, V'avarte be'eretz Mitzrayim, I will pass through the land of Egypt. Ani v'loy malach, me and not an angel. Ani v'loy shliach, me and not a messenger. Ani Hashem v'loy, that's the rest of the pasuk. This is what happens over there. Why? It's the same exact thing. You hear what Rabbi Nachman is telling us? That was when the Jewish people were at their lowest ever. Right in the worst darkness of Mitzrayim. Right when they were at the 49th level of Tumah, the lowest of the low. What happens over there? Hashem says, now I can't bring anything else into this place. Only me. Only the highest level. This is what Hashem brings to such a place. Ki Beretz Mitzrayim, Shesham Makom HaKlipas Moed. Beretz Mitzrayim was the worst place of Klipa, the worst Tumah. Al Kain, Sham Daika Meluba Shemuster Hashem Yisbarach Ba'atzmai. Hainu Teres Hashem Mamash. That's why it had to be Hashem himself, Ki'ilu, that was enclothed in that place, if we could say such a thing. Meaning what? The Torah of Hashem Mamish. Actual Torah of Hashem, Sisrei Torah, the deepest secrets of Torah. Al Kain Daika Ma'astara Shabasai Chastara. Therefore, it's specifically from the concealment within the concealment, shechoizer umahab chaladas, that when we go back and we flip it over, and that concealment becomes awareness of Hashem. That is when we reveal the Torah of Hashem in the world mamish, the high level of Torah. Kisham nistar Torah Hashem Sisrei Torah, because that's what's hidden there, the deep secrets of Torah. So this is a very special idea. It's a very short part, but it takes a long time because I like to talk. Okay. Ready with me a little bit? Yeah? Next. Okay, here we go. We're now going to learn. We talked about different aspects of Malchus. We're now going to make definitions of what it means to have the Malchus of the good side and what it means to have the Malchus of the bad side. Ready? Let's go. Ukeneged Malchus de Kedusha, and corresponding to or opposite the Malchus of holiness, Yesh Malchus HaRasha. There's a Malchus of evil. Hainu Malchus Haman Amalek, which is the kingdom, the kingship of Haman Amalek. So in the deep Torah, Haman Amalek is like an entity of Klipa, the two of them together. And as we know, our Midrashim and the way we understand the Megillah, also Haman and Amalek are one, right? And the 10 sons are corresponding to, right? We said by the Nazis it was the same thing. Whatever. The power of Amalek in the world is seen one time by Haman. Yeah. Really, it's like it's the worst. It's the anti-God, anti-Hashem, anti-goodness. Really. Yeah. Okay. I feel like we see that nowadays, but it's hard because there's different entities at play. I don't like to say how it relates necessarily exactly to people in the world. Okay, anyway. Kamosha Kosov, like the Pasuk says, Reishis Goyim Amalek. The Pasuk says in the Midbar that the Reishis Goyim, the head of nations, is Amalek. Meaning what? He's the Reishis, he's the king, he's the Malchus of all the nations, is Amalek. And we have this concept in Torah and in Kabbalah, Zelu Umazeh Asa Elokim, that there's always a just like whatever power we have on the side of Kedusha, the same thing exists on the side of Russia. We have a Yetzer Tov, we have a good inclination, we have an evil inclination. That there's Zelu Mazeh. It's the aspect of having balancing forces in the world to facilitate, once again, in the most simple understanding, to facilitate the free will. Right? We have a Moshe Rabbeinu, and we know that the nations of the world said, how did you expect us to do? We don't have a prophet like this. So Hashem said, corresponding to Moshe Rabbeinu, you have Bilam HaRasha, who was a non-Jewish prophet. Right? And all these things go along. And in Kabbalah, you have the 10 seers of Kedusha, and on the evil side, below the lowest level, you have the 10 seers of Tumah. Right? Very scary stuff. Most people don't talk about it. I think one time I showed you guys a map of the 10 series of evil and Tumah. It's scary stuff. Anyway, this is the stuff nightmares are made of. We don't want to go there. Yeah. And just like you have, by the way, you have the female aspect of Kedusha in you have the Shekhinah, right? And opposite that, you have the evil female aspect, which is the name that starts with the Lamed, right? And they're like one opposite the other. And so you always have this, right? So now we have the Malchus of Kedusha, we have the Malchus of Rishus. we know what side we want to be on. Okay, so ki malchus de kedusha, hu bechinas. What is the malchus de kedusha? Is the aspect of, I'm going to say a few things and then we'll explain. Ma'asef kol hamachanais, gathering together all of the camps. Kamoisha Kosev, like the pasuk says, soif davar hakol nishma es elokim yira. The end of the matter, soif davar, everything is heard, es elokim yira, fear Hashem, fear God. This is in Koheles, right? Zeh bechinas malchus. This is an aspect of malchus. This thing, ma'asef kol hamachanais, gathering together all the camps. Soif davar, the end of everything, the end thing, right? Everything is heard and hear Hashem. Oh, I just had a great chiddush over here later. Zeh bechinas malchus. K'mo shekasuv ilmale moira'a shel malchus. So the Gemara says, the Mishnah says, if it wasn't for the fear of the malchus, that the nations would eat each other up, right? Hainu shemalchus de kedusha hi bechinas soif davar. The malchus of holiness is an aspect of this thing we're calling soif davar, the end of the matter. Bechinas ma'asef kol hamachanais, the kedusha, gathering together all the camps of holiness. Bechinas machane Dan, the aspect of the camp of the tribe of Dan. Shehu ma'asef kol hamachanais, that he gathered together all the machanais, all the camps. Ki dina de malchusa dina. There's a lot to unpack here. First and foremost, when the Yidden were traveling through the Midbar, we were arranged by tribe in different camps, right? And who was the very last camp, last tribe? Was Machane Dan, the camp of the tribe of Dan. And the tribe of Dan had a special quality that we see over there. They were ma'asef kol machanes. They gathered up everything, and we see that Rashi explains over there that any lost objects that would be left behind, since Machane Dan was the last king, they were holding back up the end, they would pick up the lost objects and return them. However, in a spiritual level, we say that Machane Dan, at the end, those who were stragglers, who were the weak ones, who were trailing behind, that this aspect, Ma'asef Kol HaMachanes, means no Yid was left behind. A person was weak. A person was spiritually weak, or other forms of weakness. We never would let them behind. We'd always scoop them up and take them up. One aspect of Malchus to Kedusha is that we care about every single Jew, no matter what. No matter, yes, religious, no religious, no matter brilliant, not so brilliant, no matter nice, not nice, whatever it is, we care about them all. And you see a very, very big difference very often by the Jewish people and others. It's crazy to see sometimes, like, I can't believe it sometimes when you see people talking from other areas of the world, let's say, and they're like, nah, we don't care about lives. It's not important. We don't care. I hope my children will go and die. They say these things, right? But to hear it, like it would never come off the lips of Klal Yisrael, such a thing. Right? Never. We never leave a person behind. It's gotten us in trouble in the past also, in modern times, that we've given up so much for just one small little, sometimes just the remains of a Jew, right? And spiritually, right? So you have people, Chabad is so good at this, going out and like going to extreme lengths to try and help a Jew anywhere, to do whatever they can to help, right? To bring people back, to just help in general, right? It's amazing. So this is what it means to be part of the Malchus de Kedusha, is that it's not about me. It's about making sure that I do whatever I can, once again, for the Malchus. And the Malchus has a bottom level that we always have to make sure we're taken care of. Soif davar. That's Machane Dan. Well, that's what they did. And we have this rule in halacha called dina de malchusa dina. I'm sure you've heard it before. It means that in many things, if there's a question in halacha what to do, sometimes we have to follow the law of the land, right? Most of the time, really. We have to follow the law of the land we live in, right? So if you have, if someone says, the cop pulled me over and gave me a speeding ticket, I don't want to pay it because nowhere in the Torah does it say you're not allowed to speed on the 401. You tell them the Torah does say it, dina d'malchus dina. You must follow the laws of the land you're in, right? Obviously, if the land you're in tells you to do terrible things, you don't have to follow it. But assuming there's no conflict, we have to follow the laws of the land. It means you have to pay taxes also. Sorry. Yeah. Right? But dina d'malchus dina, look at the words. Dina, din is the shorish, same shorish as machane dan. Right? Dan, dina, dan is malchus. And this is the aspect of what the pasuk said, that soif davar, the end, once again it's the end, it's the last part, caring about everything. Es elokim yirah, fear God, right? It's connected to this dina. Din is yirah. Din and yirah are the same thing, right? In a spiritual way. So this is what it means to be part of the Malchus de Kedusha. To be selfless, to always be doing what we can do for the Malchus de Kedusha. Right? That's what we want to do. Not more than we can do, just taking what the Rebbeinu Shalom gave me, my talents, my abilities, whatever power and influence I have in the world, and using it for good. That's what it means to be part of the Malchus de Kedusha. Caring about others, all these things that go together with that. Umalchus de Sitra Achra. So what's the Malchus of the evil side? Hu ma'asef mamon. Just wants to gather money, riches. Gather to themselves. Really, it's the opposite of the good kind of Malchus, which is to be altruistic, selfless, and caring, right? The opposite is just, I care, it's all about me. I care about me, taking care of my own self, making myself money, right? Do we try to make money? Of course we do. It's important and good, and we should make a lot of money. Everyone should make a lot of money. It's fantastic, and it's important, right? However, that's not why we do it. We do not make money for the sake of making money, for the sake of having a lot. We make money in order so that we can do good things in the world. That's it. That's it. And if anybody makes a lot of money and does good things in the world, but then also does a lot of shtussi silly things, they're falling into the trap also. You can do good things and bad things together. It's okay. Right? But this is what we have to do. Only for Hashem. We said back here, talking about Mordechai Tzaddik, Ki im la Hashem yizbarach. Only for Hashem. That doesn't mean we can't have a nice house, a nice car, eat good food, if we're doing it for Hashem. If you have a house where you have your family in, where you invite people over, you have svarim, you learn, you do all good things in your house, you take care of people, you have guests over, give people a place to sleep, anything you do, you have a nice house, Hashem is very happy. Just as long as it's not, this is my house, everybody else out, and I like my stuff, don't touch, right? Whatever it is. Okay. I hope I'm not offending anybody. Okay. They just want money. Because he's afraid that this that he has amassed already is going to be taken out of his mouth. Which means the sparks of Kedusha that he has already amassed. Alkein hu misgaber u'masef mammon. He's constantly trying to gather and take. The Malchus Yisrael is a taker. Shem nitzotzei hakedusha. So really, we've spoken in various different Torahs and Shiurim that there's sparks of Kedusha in the world. I'm sure everybody has heard before over here the concept that in the times of Shvras HaKelim, the sparks of holiness were scattered throughout all of creation, and we have to go, our job, Tikkun Olam, means we're going around and finding those sparks and putting them back where they're supposed to be, right? So the sparks exist in various different places. When we're going to do a mitzvah, right? Someone puts food in front of you, and you're about to make a bracha. You make a good bracha with good intent. You're releasing the sparks of holiness from that food. You do another mitzvah, you take up a lulav and esrog, and you shake it, you're releasing the sparks of Kedusha. You hold yourself back from anger and screaming at somebody, and you're releasing sparks of Kedusha. You hold yourself back from engaging in behavior that you know is not befitting of you. You're redeeming and elevating a spark of Kedusha, all these things. So the sparks of Kedusha also appear in things that are naturally precious in the world. So the sparks of Kedusha are particularly prevalent in gold and silver, for example. These things that are precious to the whole world, they have something about them spiritually that gives them such a glimmer and such a shine, right? So really, the malchus of the evil side usurps, as we said, and takes energy from the good side. That's the sparks of holiness, and takes it for itself, right? And it does not want to lose these. So what does it do? It's always trying to just gather more and more, because it's afraid of losing these sparks of Kedusha. So it's always taking, right? What? Why? Because like we just said, we just explained this. The supernal colors of all the spheres of holiness are realized in certain precious items. Sheyesh bezahav, chesef and achoshes, like in gold, silver, and copper. Shehem hamamoy. V'zeh bechinas taivas ashirus. Shehi bechinas malchus. This is an aspect. Ready for this one, guys? Look out. This is going to hit all of us in some way. It's an aspect of the strong desire for wealth that we all have. What does that mean? You hear what we're saying over here? What I'm saying, he didn't say it exactly. We all have a pull towards the malchus of evil. We all have a thing in us, maybe not everybody, but I think probably all of us have something that even though we say, I just want to have enough money that I could do. If only I had money, I would open this organization for chesed, and I would give to that. I'd lend money. I'd give this, and right. But really, it's not the only thing we want, right? That's what we say we would do, but we want what happens when you start making a lot of money? Power. Arrogance. What? Arrogance, right? It's an aspect of arrogance that we want to be successful. I want to tell people, I got a great successful business. I make money. You should see, I'm the best doctor. I'm the best this, and I make so much money, right? I'm saying it in a negative way, and it is generally negative, but it's also even on a much more sort of a nuanced way, that a person, it feels good to be successful. It feels good to have money. It feels good to do well, right? And whether we like it or not, each of us, to a certain level, ascribe value and importance and self-worth to this aspect. So even if we say, I want to make money so I can do all kinds of good things, I have to always check myself and always remember what aspect of me just wants people to know that I'm successful, that I'm doing well, that I'm good, right? It's going to be intertwined for sure. Yeah? Anyone disagree with me? Just out of curiosity? No. Okay, we're all on the same team so far. Where are we holding? Okay, we got a little bit more time. Okay, Ki Amalek, Shehu Malchus HaRasha, Roidef. This is the awesomest part. Amalek, Shehu Malchus HaRasha. So Amalek, who's the kingdom of evil, Roidef es Machane Dan, chases after the camp of Dan, the last camp in the whatever it's called, convoy. Shehu bechinas malchus de kedusha, which is malchus de kedusha. Kamosha, like the pasuk says in Devarim about Amalek, v'yazanev becha kol hanechashalim acharecha v'lo yirei Elokim. Right. So this we say by Parsha Zachar, that we say right before Purim, mitzvah doraisa, Torah mitzvah, to remember Amalek and to destroy their memory also somehow. These two mitzvahs go together, right? But this is the pasuk we says, v'yazanev becha. So the pasuk says that he cut down all of the stragglers. V'yazanev also comes from the word zanav, which means tail. It means at the end, right? So just like Machane Dan was the last camp, they were the soif davar, the end, right? And what did they do? They picked up the stragglers. They took the weak ones and brought them back into the camp. Amalek attacked from the back. And kol hanecheshalim acharecha, all of the ones who are weak, who are dragging behind, that's where Amalek goes and attacks. The weak ones that are falling behind. Right? And the lashon of karirus is said by Amalek, of coldness. Asher korcha baderech, right? So the simple translation of korcha baderech means they happened upon us on the way, but the deeper understanding is korcha means they try to cool us down, right? They try to remove our passion. They try to remove our connection, our light. They try to cool us down. And those ones who are cooled off, the ones who are at the back, who are struggling, they're the easiest pickings, they're the easiest things to gather in, right? So they go in, and they're also at the end. They're also this aspect of Malchus, right? Because Malchus, of course, is the last of the spheres. It's always at the end. But them at the end is attacking and selflessly gathering. Whereas the Malchus de Kedusha, which is at the end, Sof Davar Machane Dan, is taking care of everybody. Right? What a difference. What a difference. And polar opposite, like we've said many times in today's shir specifically, Zeh Lu'ma Zeh. We always have these two opposing powers. Which side do you want to be on? Do you want to be the selfish person who takes all the time? Masef Mamon, Taivas Ashirus, desiring wealth? Or do you want to be the one who takes as many people as they can to help? Does whatever we can to bring good into the world, to bring light into the world, right? On board? Which one was that? No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. And also, you see that in the pasuk, talking about the Malchus de Kedusha, we said Soif Davar, which is the end, Malchus, Hakol Nishma, Es HaElokim Yirah. There's an aspect of Yiras Hashem in the good Malchus, and the pasuk says specifically, unbelievably, by Amalek, Veloy Yirah Elokim. They did not fear Hashem. Right? It's like the opposite. And if you remember, something that fits into this Torah so nicely, right? We always like to say, how do we understand Yiras Elokim, Yiras Hashem, Yiras Elokim? The fear, right? We also know, by the way, there's a shtickle from Nesiva Shalom in this week's Parsha with this very title, that Yira Ois Re'iyah. That the word Yira, which means to fear, is the exact same letters, just in a different order, of the word Re'iyah, which means to see. Right? And this is like amazing how this fits into this Torah. Why? Because we're saying, what's the whole problem over here is that there's a hastara, there's a concealment. And we have to do our part to reveal the concealed, to reveal what's concealed. Right? And the concealment is that Hashem is concealed from us. The antidote to that, the opposite of that, is when we have das, which means awareness of Hashem. Right? So the Malchus of Amalek, Lo Veloy Yireh Elokim. If you take Yira to be Oisius Re'iyah, they don't see God. They are the definition of concealment. But by us, what's Machane Dan? What's the Malchus de Kedusha? Is that we have what's the pasuk exactly? Hold on, we'll get to it. Soif Davar Hakol Nishma Es Elokim Yirah. Right? Soif Davar, that's the end. Es Elokim Yirah. If you change it to Re'iyah from Yirah, it's see Hashem. See Hashem. Reveal the hidden. This is what our job is to do in the Malchus de Kedusha. It's to reveal the hidden. Wow. Fantastic. I saw, interestingly also in this pasuk, he doesn't say this is something I'm adding, but I think we spoke about this at Kiddush maybe 2 Shabbos ago, that there's a pasuk said about Shaul HaMelech, that when he gathered together all the people, all of Klal Yisrael, the pasuk says, Vayishama Shaul es ha'am. Right? And Rashi explains, it means he gathered together all the people. Vayishama, but it's the words of Shema. Shema, that in that way of using the word, the shurish, shin mem ayin, vayishama shal es ha'am, it means gathering everybody together. It means bringing everybody together. Vayishama, right? It's a very interesting thing to think about when you say Shema Yisrael also, by the way. Right? How do you see that Hashem Echad? Only when you have Shema Yisrael, when all of Klal Yisrael is gathered together. You don't leave anyone behind. Right? That's one thing. But here, Soif Davar, what's the job of Machane Dan? Hakol Nishma. Everything is gathered together. If you say it like this understanding. Es Elokim Yirah, see Hashem. Okay, this is some fancy footwork. It's way beyond the simple understanding. But very, very sweet. Very sweet. Okay, let's just finish up here. We're at about 50 minutes. We'll see. Yeah. Ki Malchus Haman Amalek. No, we said this already? Yeah, we said this already. This is what Chazal say. So there's a pasuk from Koheles that says, "Ki la'adam shetoiv lefanav nasan chachma v'das." And that's the first part of the pasuk. It says the person who that there's good before him, meaning a person who does good, Hashem gives him chachma and das, wisdom and awareness. Let's say. And the second part of the pasuk says, "V'lachoite nasan inyan le'asoif v'lichnois." And to the sinner, he gives to that person, he just wants to take and gather in. Right? So the Gemara says, the Gemara in Megillah happens to be, uses these psukim to define our hero and our villain. How do we see? The Gemara says, this is quoting the Gemara, Ki la'adam shetoiv lefanav nasan chachma v'das. The Gemara says, Ze Mordechai. This pasuk is referring to Mordechai. The one who does good, right? Hashem gives him chachma and das. Zeh Mordechai. Hainu, Shemordechai, Shebichinas Malchus to Kedusha. He's the Malchus to Kedusha. Nasan le chachma v'das. He's giving him chachma and das. And what is das? It is the antidote to concealment. It is awareness of Hashem. V'zeh toiv lefanav b'chinas Torah. And when it says toiv lefanav, what does it mean? He had good before him. B'chinas Torah. That's referring to the Torah that he brought in. That's the antidote, by the way. That's how we get to this place. Ki ein toiv el Torah, we say. Right? So when it says toiv, it refers to Torah. And what did Mordechai do? By the way, right when all this was happening, he went and started learning with the little kids Torah. Yeah? This is how he began to reverse the decree, to end the concealment and reveal Hashem in the world in the biggest way. The Gemara says weiter, and to the sinner, what does he give to him? To just gather in and be a taker. Zeh Haman, says the Gemara. Hainu, shehaman shu bechinas malchus d'sitra achra. Haman, who's the kingdom of evil, hu ma'asef mammon. He's just taking money, gathering in money. V'zeh lases toiv livnei Elokim bechinas haTorah. The pasuk that said to put good in front of God. This is referring to Torah. Shemordechai shu bechinas malchus kedusha. And so it said like this. Why does Hashem allow and give to the evil kingdom to take the money in? Why? Because eventually he's going to make that evil person give it to the righteous person. Right? That's what the rest of the pasuk says. And the Gemara says. So he says, Shemordechai shebichinas malchus kedusha moitzi mimenu kol hamamoin v'kol hanitzoitzos. He ends up taking all the money from Haman. And all of the sparks that Haman had. What happened in the Purim story? Haman becomes this big minister, gets a huge palace, a huge house, and where he builds the gallows 50 amas high, right? And it looks like it's the end. There's no way out. The decree is out. Sound familiar? The decree is out. Destroy the Jews any way you want. The decree is out. And our leader, our hero, Mordechai, right? There's a gallows built for him that they're going to hang him on. That's it. It's over. There's no way out. What's going to happen? Very, very quickly, the whole thing gets flipped on its side, upside down. And what happens to the house of Haman? It's given to Mordechai. The gallows that Haman built to hang Mordechai, he himself is hung on it. Right? Everything that Haman was gathering to himself for his evil plans went right over to the side of holiness, of Kedusha. Right.
In Mitzrayim when the Jews came out.
100%. You're right. Yeah. In Mitzrayim, from that place of hiddenness, they took out Rechush Gadol. Yeah. Very good, Sandra. Very, very good.
Listening class.
And makes from that Torah. Because Mordechai took from him all the Ashirus, like the pasuk says in Eov, Chayil, Bala, Vaikienu. The pasuk says over here that he swallowed it up, all the wealth, and then vomited it out. The pasuk says in Eov, and he will vomit it out. Voisim is a Torah and makes a Torah from it. Shenikres eshes chayil. So the chayil that he took in comes out and becomes afterwards the concept of eshes chayil, like all you ladies except for the three of us here, right? Right? Meaning the word chayil, it's valor, it's wealth, it's power, right? And when it's taken into a negative place, it will eventually be vomited out, and will eventually become something amazing, like only you guys can make it, like an Eshes Chayil, right? But this pasuk over here, something that is not on the pages here at all, is actually the three letters, the first three letters of these three words make up one of the names of Hashem, that they're very specifically Kabbalistic names of Hashem. And there's a special paragraph in some of the more Kabbalistic Sidurim that is said during the bracha of what's it called? The gathering together of the exiles in the Shemona Esrei, which talks about, I won't say it exactly because it's a little bit, as my kids like to say sometimes, nicht approps, not so appropriate to talk about it. It has to do with some, whatever. Stuff like that, but it's referring to the concept of gathering back sparks of spirituality that have been spread out, and bringing them back, and taking them from that place of that they've been swallowed in to the place of evil, taking them out, they'll be vomited out and gathered back into holiness. So when this is something just interesting to note, because I always like to note this, I'm not a tremendous Kabbalist. But if you know a little bit of Kabbalah, sometimes you can see that Rabbi Nachman says things in here that for many people, they would just be like, oh, okay, he says an interesting pasuk that it's going to spit it out, okay. But really, it's talking about something very, very deep. And one of
Can you read the pasuk?
One of the holy names of Hashem, that is, it's Chayil, Bala, V'yekienu. Was that Alyssa?
Yes.
Yeah, I'll take a picture of this Yehi Ratzon, and I'll paste it. I'll put it onto the group, so those who want to look at it can see the whole thing. Okay. Then you'll see what it is, but it's very special.
Thank you.
Yeah, that takes us to the end of Ois Hey, and we can start in 2 weeks at Ois Dalet at Vav, which is going to be. You ready for this, guys? Here's the teaser for next time. This is something everybody wants. So it says, Ulefi Hagdalas Adas, just the first sentence, according to the level that we increase our das, our awareness of Hashem, Kein HaParnasa Benakel. So too, making money, making our living will be easier. That's the beginning of next week. So we'll have to stick around. So if you want to make money, got to come to class. That's it.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, everybody. Anybody got questions, comments?